Howdy, and welcome. My name is Juan Carlos Reyes, and I am the Technical Marketing Engineer here at LogicMonitor. Here at LogicMonitor, we help and guide businesses through many of today's challenges, like modernization, with coverage of container technologies such as Kubernetes and Docker, cloud adoption by forecasting billing and resource utilization, tool sprawl, siloed visibility, having different teams and departments know, work, and share information from one tool, and rising costs. Besides cloud billing, you can utilize historical data and LogicMonitor's forecasting feature to know which areas are being underutilized and help you reduce some of the maintenance costs. I'm going to start off with a LogicMonitor architecture slide that shows how the LogicMonitor platform works. On the top left corner, we see the three cloud providers we connect out of the box: AWS, Azure, and GCP. We collect the cloud data through our cloud collectors. These collectors retrieve metrics such as the cloud provider's health and billing information by making API calls to the cloud services. Next, we have the entire IT infrastructure stack. We monitor network devices like routers, switches, and firewalls, many databases including SQL and Oracle, storage devices like NetApp and Cisco's HyperFlex. We collect information from virtualization environments such as Hyper-V and VMware vSphere. These are just a few of the thousands of devices we can collect data from, and we get all this information without having to install agents on each device. Instead, we collect this data through a collector that is installed locally in the data center or cloud environment. The collector is a Windows service or daemon process that is installed in a virtual machine. This collector then pulls metrics from the different devices through different methods like SNMP, WMI, perfmon, JMX, APIs, scripts, etc. Basically, if a device exposes metrics in some way, shape, or form, LogicMonitor will be able to monitor it. At the bottom, we have some of the different ways LogicMonitor can be used. LogicMonitor comes with predefined thresholds that can trigger alerts. Custom thresholds can also be created as needed to properly monitor an environment. We also correlate data from different devices to show how they impact each other. Next, the dashboards. There are many widgets within LogicMonitor that can be used to create a plethora of dashboards for different use cases. For example, an overall health dashboard can be created and placed on a big screen for everybody to see, and then have other dashboards with more detailed data to use when triaging a problem. Next, our forecasting feature can help with the capacity planning as an organization expands its footprint. And finally, reporting. There are predefined reports such as SLA reports, alert trends, resource inventory, etc. These reports can be created ad hoc or scheduled. On the right side, you see a few of the workflow integrations that we support out of the box. We connect to several ITSM systems such as ServiceNow to better serve an organization's ticketing management workflow. We integrate with several collaboration and chat-ops tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and PagerDuty to supplement LogicMonitor's alerting capabilities. And at the bottom of the list, we see orchestration tools that can be utilized to add metadata more efficiently when deploying new devices in an environment. This is a basic overview of the LogicMonitor architecture. Okay, now let's go over into the LogicMonitor dashboard tab in your portal. Here we have three different tabs. You have your favorites, which is a combination of public and private dashboards, so you've favorited. The public dashboards are dashboards that have been made public by other people within your organization, and there are some LogicMonitor dashboards that come with your portal from the get-go. So if you have any of these devices, when you open up the dashboard, they will populate automatically. And you have your private dashboards, which are your own dashboards that you've created. Okay, now let's look into all the different types of widgets available to you to add to your dashboard. All you have to do is add a widget on your dashboard, and here is a quick summary of all the ones that are available to you. I'm going to go over a few of them with you. Alerts widget gives you a summary of the current alerts that are happening in your environment. You have an HTML widget, so you can visualize HTML code, such as a website, in a widget. You have a NUC widget, which can give you the current status of a service or device so that you can also click through it and quickly open any resource or device that have any alerts, and you should be able to triage from there. You have three different types of visualization widgets. So you have your big number, pie widget, or just your traditional chart, which depending on what kind of data you're looking for, you have different choices. You have the Google Maps widget. So if your resources have the property source location enabled, then we'll be able to point your resource in the Google Maps widget. And you have a table widget, which you're able to see any metrics depending on the resource that you want to put in your table. Another important thing to know about your charts widget is that you're able to utilize ups nodes. So if you add any ups nodes to a chart, you will be able to see if there was a big spike here, you can put an ups node saying, hey, there was an upgrade here made by me, so don't worry about it. It's normal for it to be. So you can communicate this to your peers. So now we have some examples of some dashboards that we've created. This is an AWS overview dashboard. At the very top, we have alerts for AWS. Next, we have the cost, so you can visualize how much AWS is costing to the entire enterprise, and then you can have a breakdown either by a table or a pie chart. Then you can have more detailed information about certain instances in your environment. You can see the top CPU utilization instances. You can have a table visualizing that same data and with different metrics in the columns. You can have a gauge to see where you're at in your total instance usage. And if you have a limit of 50, then you can see how close you are to hitting your limit. At the very bottom, we have more specific data for different components within your application or AWS. So you have some load balancer health. How many load balancers are there? If there are any 500 or 400 errors, the total requests coming in. You have some backend information, so your storage, RDS, and some S3 information as well. So this is a quick overview of AWS that can be useful. Another example that we have is VMware's vCenter overview. At the very top, we have the vCenter alerts, and then we have some NOC overviews for different components of vCenter. So we have the virtual machines, data stores, host, and the cluster itself. Some more specific data to the environment. So how many data stores we have, how many vCenter servers, how many virtual machines, how many are on, how many are off. If there are any issues with a specific component of a virtual machine, you can always drill down, as we've seen before, to the specific virtual machine, and it will open up your resource page, and you can drill down from there. Or if you have already a pre-made, more detailed dashboard, you can actually link it as a hyperlink in a text widget, and once you click it, it will open up a new tab for you with that dashboard with the more detailed data that you can then use to triage. The resources page creates predefined groupings of your devices, such as the cloud groupings and devices by type. You can also create your own groupings. This is very powerful as you'll be able to logically group devices in a way that makes sense. For example, you can have offices and data centers, locations. You can have customers if you're an MSP. If you're looking for a specific device, then you can use the search tool on top to find a specific instance, groups, data source, you name it. You can click it, it can auto-populate here, and if you want to see it in the tree, you can click on Focus on Device. It will auto-open the specific resource with all of its data sources and instances that are related to that device. You'll be able to see any graphs, metrics that are related to the instance, any information captured by LogicMonitor, the raw data that's being collected by the collectors. You can debug here, pull the data now, or refresh any active alerts that are currently in the device. Any scheduled downtime, you'll be able to see if it's actively in a downtime period, or you can fine-tune your alerting. On the other side of the resources, you're going to see services. The services are basically a way to logically combine components of an application so that you can get a more holistic overview of the health of the application, such as the Exchange group. You'll be able to see the health and the LDAP, Exchange metrics, and as well as the Windows metrics that can be combined into a single group so you can have a more holistic view of the application. All right, here we have our Logs tab. So on the top here we have a series timeline of all the logs that are incoming with the quantity that are coming in. We have a breakdown of the logs that are coming by the minute. We have the resources, and from here you can always jump into the resource tree of any log. So you'll be able to further investigate and hop into the resource tab. There's a toggle here that you can select and deselect to see the raw logs or just anomalies. In this case, we don't have any anomalies displayed here, but we're able to see all the raw logs available. You can always filter depending on a specific device or service that you want to filter your logs through. We have time. You can increase the time to have the further expansion to go back. And you can always see the types of integrations that you can connect to. So AWS, Azure, Fluentd, syslog, and so forth. And if you want to keep a look into how much logs you're consuming, we have at the top right a monthly usage button that lets you know how much logs have been consumed by the portal. All right, and this is our logs tab. Next, we have websites. In the websites tab, you'll be able to add any web or ping checks, internal or external. To add, just click Add and Web Check. You set a name, description, the URL, any steps that needs to follow, if it requires any additional information to get that request through. If you're expecting a certain response, you can set it here. The checkpoints are where the checks are going to be coming from. Since we selected external, these are going to be all the external checks that we have available for LogicMonitor. Alert triggering, basically how frequently you want to check and what test requires an alert notification. You can also alert on SSL and certificate expiration errors. So LogicMonitor will be able to give you a heads up whenever a certificate is about to expire, and any additional properties that you want to add to your website. Once you add it, there'll be an overall status of the web, the response time, and individual location settings metrics. So in the connection performance, response times for that specific location, and the status for that specific location. You can see the raw data being displayed, any information that you've added to the properties, any active alerts, any downtime that's scheduled, and you can also add any other steps if it requires more steps to perform a successful web check. Next, we have the Mapping tab. Here, we utilize LogicMonitor's topology feature to visualize how some components are connected. For example, we have the vCenter network, where you can see the vCenter connecting to some servers, ESXi hosts, and switches. Another example that we can see is a Kubernetes cluster. Here we see the AKS agents pool connecting to several backend databases, Redis, and some of the slave components. Here we have our Alerts tab, currently our only tab with our new UI enabled. It's pretty straightforward. You have all the alerts that are currently active in your environment, and on the far right, you're able to see the dependency roles and dependency alerts. So with our AI Ops capability, we're able to map alerts if they are connected to another or depending to another alert. When you select an alert, you'll be able to see more details about what's happening. You'll be able to view the device, so we'll open up a new tab with the device information, as we've seen previously with the data alerts and alert routing. You'll be able to escalate in case it needs to go to another support level. You can acknowledge it and let people know within your organization that you're working on it. Put the device in downtime or add a note so you can let your colleagues know what's happening. In the Reports tab, you're able to create new reports. Here are some of the reports you're able to create out of the box, such as alert forecasting, any alert SLA reports, resource inventory. You're able to put your title, description of what you're going to be adding into this report, the format, and if you want to set it on a schedule, you have several options here to choose from, and you can run it and save it. Once you save it, it's here for you to run at any time that you want. So once you have created, you can generate and view a report. It gives you an overview of all the selections that you have to make sure everything's that you need, and you can run the report. Here we have the LM Exchange view in the portal. So here you'll be able to see all the different modules that are available and already installed in your portal. You can see the different versions that we have, what it contains, whether it's just data sources or a config source, and so on. We have my repository, so if you made any modifications or added any of your own data sources, they'll be listed right here. And most importantly, we have a public repository where you'll be able to see all the different data sources, config sources, event sources, you name it, that are available for you to download, or if there's been any updates to a certain data source, you can always upgrade from here as well. No need to go through the settings tab and do it manually there. You'll be able to do that all in this Exchange tab. So here in the Exchange tab, we have all the data sources that have been created by the LogicMonitor team, and we also have some that have been endorsed by LogicMonitor. So if a customer created a specific data source, and LogicMonitor has reviewed the data source and make sure that it works properly. It will be endorsed and it will be showed and it will show up here in the LM Exchange for you to download and use it if it's a technology that you need monitoring for. So let's go take a look. So let's go to the community, see what shows up. So as you can see here, it's been published by the community, and if it's been endorsed, it would also show up here. And it's going to be a process where we LogicMonitor goes in and endorses those community data sources. You can also filter out by whether they're new, have an upgrade, whether you've installed it. If you customize it yourself, you'll be able to see the difference between what you customize and what's in the default version. This is the new LM Exchange tab that you'll be able to filter and go through all the different data sources that are available for your portal. The Settings tab, also known as the Admin tab, allows for customization of the portal. You can use single sign-on for your organization, such as LDAP or Okta. You can create different roles depending on the level of access the users will require. If you need to track the changes other users are doing to the portal, there's an audit logs that can help keep track of that. In the Collectors tab, you'll be able to manage the collectors that are currently connected to the environment. The Integration tabs shows the active integrations, and you can add new ones. Some of the out-of-the-box integrations are ConnectWise, Autotask, PagerDuty, Slack, and ServiceNow. LogicMonitor's API allows us to use custom HTTP delivery methods to integrate to many other tools. The Logic Module section shows us the different modules that are currently in the environment, such as in the data sources. Some of them are out of the box, already predefined. If you don't have the device, they won't have any data. Data sources are the metric-based data. Event sources are event-driven data. Config sources are configuration changes data. You can keep track of configuration changes to certain devices, specifically network devices. Property sources are the metadata of devices that you can add throughout the lifespan of the device. Topology sources populate the mappings of devices, such as Kubernetes, networking, and VMware. Job monitors help track scheduled tasks to make sure they start at the correct time and they don't get stuck while doing the task. The alert settings section is where you can customize which errors are sent out and the escalation route they will take. For example, you can have an alert rule that only sends out database errors to the database team. The database team escalation could be on-call person, and then the entire database team, and lastly the manager of the team. So as you can see, you have your errors database alerts with the priority above the normal error, so you can go through this alert rule first and then the other errors tab. Here you choose the escalation chain and the interval between each escalation. Escalation chain, you have different ways of setting it up. You can have just direct stages, such as the on-call, the team, the manager, or if you need to create time-based chains, you can have the on-call be on the weekends only, and then the team on the weekdays or work hours, and then have different escalations within the different subchains. NetScan is a quick way to scan your network for devices by an IP range. This is probably the fastest way to get some devices monitored in LogicMonitor. With all this information we've covered, one can see how LogicMonitor goes beyond helping businesses troubleshoot problems. LogicMonitor can help you become proactive, keep an eye on cloud billing and infrastructure, forecast resource utilization, tool consolidation, and utilize AI to provide even more value and insight into your business. If you'd like to try out LogicMonitor in your own environment, go to logicmonitor.com/sign up. Thanks for watching.